folks, this is Vicki from patternprincess.com. Today I'm going to show you just the first little bit here of how to do this really pretty mug rug. I just love the texture to this, and it's just using single crochet and double crochets, and I have a little bit of fringe on the edges here to make it look really pretty. The sizing on it here, gosh, it's probably about, I don't know, 5 inches square. I haven't measured it yet. I will have the full written pattern on the website for you to use. But I just wanted to show you the first little part here. So if you are looking at the written pattern, you can make sure that you can I want to make sure you can understand how to do it. When I started this off, this was the side that I started on. And I used the chainless foundation single crochet. And there's 18 of those across. You could, if you wanted, do the single crochet in place of it, and then, you know, work your pattern. But I did do the chainless foundation single crochet. So I'm going to start that off here. And there's, like, again, there's 18 of them. So the way to do that is you yarn over, you come and you bring it through your loop. I already have my slip stitch on. Yarn over one more time, bring it through your loop again. Then you're going to go back through. There's 2 little yarn loops here. You're going to go back through that first chain and yarn over, draw that yarn through. Okay, now you have 2 loops on your hook. You bring the tension about the same. Yarn over and go through the first loop. Yarn over and go through the next 2 loops. Go back down through the first loops. Grab some yarn, draw it through. Get the tension the same. Yarn over, go through the first loop, and yarn over through the second loop. I'm going to continue to do this until I have 18. I also do have another video on YouTube that shows this process in a much slower, and I do it like 2 or 3, 4 times for you so that you get this chainless foundation. But once I do the chainless foundation, I'm going to show you how to do the next row of this pattern or 2 so that you can understand the single crochet and double crochet, how it goes. Okay, I should have my 8 chainless foundation single crochet, and let's count. So I count the 2 loops. I don't count this first one here. I count just the 2 loops on the top. So if we look at the 2 loops on the top, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and then that last loop is 18. Okay, so I have 18. And another thing I wanted to tell you is, like, this here, it's a little bit bigger on the bottom. So what you can do, I wouldn't have any worries about that. When you go ahead and weave in your yarn, when you weave it in, just weave it in, you know, like right into here I would, and then that'll bring that right up and through, and then you won't even see that. That won't even be noticeable when you're all said and done. And also you're going to be putting in this right here, you're going to be putting in your fringe. So the fringe, if you notice on the corners, that's going to cover that up too. So you won't see that, okay? So I just want to let you know that. So technically, okay, we have, when we do the chainless foundation single crochet, we technically have our, I'll turn it back over, you can see a little bit better, our chain stitch row and then a single row of single crochet. That's what you accomplish when you do the chainless foundation single crochet. And it's just really nice because then it doesn't pull apart on the bottom when you add in the fringe. The fringe will look nice on the bottom and the top. Okay, so I'm going to insert my hook again. And now we're going to start working the pattern. So we're going to chain 2, 1, 2. And then we're going to not work in this first one here. Okay, we're going to work on the next one. So not this one, but the next one. So the first one, that's right after that chain. So right here is where I'm going to take the 2 chains out. I'm going to show you. So right here is where I ended. This is stitch number 18. We don't count the loop on the hook. So this is stitch number 18. So we're going to work in the 17th stitch. That's going to be our first stitch. But we're going to do 2 chains first. Okay. So 1, 2. There's my 2 chains. So in this right here, we're going to go through both loops. Yarn over, draw the yarn through, and do a single crochet. Then we're going to, in the same stitch, we're going to do a double crochet. Yarn over, go right back into that stitch, yarn over again, bring the yarn through, And now we're going to complete the double crochet. We're going to yarn over, go through 2 loops, and yarn over through 2 loops. That completes that double crochet. Then we're going to skip the next stitch, and we're going to go into the top 2 loops of the next stitch. So put your yarn hook through, and we're going to do a single crochet. Yarn over, draw the yarn through, and complete a single crochet, bringing it through 2 loops. And then we're going to, in the same stitch, we're going to do that double crochet again. So the pattern here is going to be all the way across. We're going to do the single crochet and a double crochet in the same stitch. Okay, so if you get it for one, we can do it for the rest. So we're going to yarn over, bring the hook through the stitches, through the underneath the top 2 loops, yarn over, draw through. We now have 3 loops on the hook. Yarn over, go through 2 loops, and yarn over through 2 loops. So in that stitch, we have a single crochet and a double crochet. We're going to skip the next stitch, and we're going to work in the next stitch the same thing. Single crochet, yarn over, and a double crochet in the same stitch. And we're going to skip the next stitch, and the next stitch we're going to work a single crochet and a double crochet. Single crochet, yarn over, double crochet. And we're going to skip the next stitch. We're going to work on the next one, single crochet, yarn over, same stitch, double crochet. And I'm just going to quickly finish up the last few here, and then I'll show you the next row, which is going to be the same pattern. It's a very lovely texture to this pattern. There's probably a name, a special name for this stitch that I'm doing, but to be honest, I don't know what it is. I just know that I love the stitch, how it looks. The single crochet and the double crochet combined. Okay, and then our last ones, we're going to skip this and work on the last 2 loops here, right? The last 2 loops. Not in this here. We're going to work right here. So yarn over, do your single crochet, and then your double crochet right in that last stitch. Oopsies. Okay, so now we got our first official row done. I'm going to turn it over, chain 2. You could also chain 2 before you turn. I don't think it matters. So now, again, we're going to not work in that first double crochet that was done here. We're going to work in that single crochet from the previous row. So we're going to do a single crochet and a double crochet right in that single crochet in the previous row. Okay, so yarn over, single crochet, yarn over again, and we're going to do the double crochet right in that same stitch. Then we're going to skip that next stitch, which is that double crochet from the bottom for the previous row, and we're going to work in that top loops of that single crochet and do a single crochet and double crochet. So really you're skipping one, and the next stitch just happens to always be that single crochet. So sometimes it's just really easy. Eventually you start to eyeball it, and you can tell that this stitch is taller, this stitch is shorter, so then you can tell right away, oh, that's where I work my single crochet and my double crochet. And we're going to work this all the way across, and then I'm just going to quickly show you how to do the fringe. If you've never put on fringe before, sometimes it can be intimidating to do, but it's actually very easy. This particular one, I've used 3 pieces of yarn in each one to do the fringe. You could use single piece of yarn for your fringe. You could use 2. I also did the fringe in every other crochet stitch for this pattern. You could put it in every stitch if you wanted to. It's very forgiving, this pattern. You're always good to make the patterns the way that you would like to see them, and when you have the skill and the talent to do that, it's pretty awesome. And I'm doing my last double crochet, so I'm going to pull out my yarn. I'm going to put it here. Here is, and of course, this is all give. This is all like stretch out as you work the pattern. Isn't that pretty? So now let me quick show you. I just happen to have some yarn pieces cut. So how many do I have? Okay, so I'm going to show you. You make them about even, right? You pull them about even, fold them in half, and I like to get them ready like this, right? So I hold them with my fingers, and I'll put them in the first one here. So right here, I'm going to put my hook through. You just put the yarn over your hook, bring it through, and I keep holding those tails till I bring it through. Come on. Sometimes it can be snug, as in here. Now I'm going to let that go, because now I have them through. Now you notice how I didn't do anything with this yet? I'm going to tell you a secret. After I get my first fringe in here, I'm going to pull this down. When I sew in and sometimes on the fringe, you pull little pieces at once because you want to make sure that it all kind of, because I'm working with more than one piece of yarn, sometimes you can have one that sticks up and about drives you nuts. So then I kind of like gently tug at each one until it gets all nice and tight. And now it's pretty tight. There we go. So now I have this. Of course, it's gonna look like, it's funny, like I pulled down on here, but as soon as you add the next one, it's all gonna look nice and even. Okay. So when I sew in this, I actually would go up the back, sew it here. Remember to bring this in tight, and come back around here, and then I bring it right back through the back knot of this fringe, and I bring it out the fringe hole. And so I have it as part of the fringe, and then you know what I do? I snip it off so that it's even with the fringe. Now you're probably looking at this saying, oh my gosh, your fringe is not even. That's correct. I take a tape measure, and I go across, and then I go ahead and I snip my fringe until it's pretty even, right? I go ahead and I snip it. And you can snip this is 2 inches. You could snip this to 1 inch. Of course, there we go. You could snip this to 1 inch. You could snip this, however you want it. But you can see that the fringe is pretty even. And I just hold my my tape measure, and I kind of get, the first little bit started, and I do some cutting, and then I'll hold it again just to make sure I have it, and do some more cutting. And so it works out very nicely. So this is how you work this really pretty coaster pattern. And I hope that you make some for yourself, some to give as gifts, some for craft fairs. There's so many different things. And try out some different patterns yourself. And remember to like, share, and subscribe. And hit the bell so that you can be notified of any new videos that I post. But thank you very much for watching, and have a wonderful day.